Captain Jackson Reed stood before the massive viewport of the starship Horizon, watching distant stars blur into silver streaks as they traveled through hyperspace. His weathered hands gripped the observation rail, knuckles white with tension. After 15 years of solo navigation missions, he'd grown comfortable with solitude. The silence of deep space had become his closest companion. "Captain Reed?" A melodic voice interrupted his thoughts. Jackson turned to see the most striking being he'd ever encountered. She stood barely 5 feet tall, with luminescent blue skin that seemed to glow from within. Her hair cascaded like liquid starlight down to her shoulders, and her large, amber eyes held depths that reminded him of nebulae. She wore flowing robes that shifted color with her movements, creating an almost hypnotic effect. "I am Zara Voss," she said, extending a delicate hand. "I've been assigned as your cultural liaison for the Andromeda expedition." Jackson hesitated before taking her hand, surprised by the warm electricity that passed between them. "I wasn't told about a liaison," he said, his voice rougher than intended. Zara's lips curved into an enigmatic smile. "The Council of Worlds decided human-alien cooperation needed ... improvement. Your reputation for successful missions made you the ideal candidate. My reputation for working alone made me successful," Jackson replied, though he found himself unable to look away from her mesmerizing eyes. "Perhaps," Zara said, moving closer to study the star charts on his navigation console. Her scent was intoxicating, like rare flowers blooming in moonlight. "But this mission requires understanding cultures that have been lost for millennia. Your skills combined with my knowledge could unlock secrets that have puzzled scholars for generations." Jackson watched her slender fingers trace the holographic routes with surprising expertise. "You know navigation?" "Among other things," she said mysteriously. When their eyes met again, something sparked between them, dangerous and thrilling. "The sleeping quarters are on Deck 7, Jackson said, stepping back to maintain professional distance. "We'll reach the Veil Nebula in 3 days." As Zara moved toward the exit, she paused. "Captain Reed, this mission will change everything you thought you knew about the universe. And yourself." Alone again, Jackson stared out at the stars, knowing his solitary existence had just become infinitely more complicated. Something about Zara Voss called to him in ways he couldn't understand, and that terrified him more than any cosmic storm ever could. Dangerous discoveries. Veil Nebula's swirling colors painted the horizon's bridge in ethereal light as Jackson guided them toward the ancient coordinates. Zara stood beside him, her presence both comforting and distracting. Over the past 3 days, she'd proven invaluable, decoding star maps that had baffled xenorchaeologists for decades. "There," Zara pointed to a cluster of crystalline structures floating in the nebula's heart. "The Forgotten Archive. My people's legends speak of knowledge stored there since before your son was born." Jackson maneuvered the ship closer, his pulse quickening as massive geometric shapes emerged from the cosmic dust. "It's incredible," he breathed. "How did your people know about this place?" Before Zara could answer, alarm shrieked through the bridge. The nebula's electromagnetic fields were intensifying, threatening to tear the ship apart. "Shields failing!" Jackson shouted over the chaos, his hands flying across the controls. Lightning-like energy cascaded around them, and the ship shuddered violently. Suddenly, Zara's hands covered his on the navigation console. Her touch sent waves of calm through his panicked mind, and he gasped as foreign thoughts merged with his own. Through her telepathic connection, he could feel the nebula's patterns, understand its rhythm. "Together," she whispered, her voice echoing in his mind. "Trust me." Guided by their joined consciousness, Jackson piloted through the cosmic storm with impossible precision. When they finally reached the safety of the archive's protective field, both were breathing hard. their mental connection still humming between them. "You're telepathic," Jackson said, studying her with new wonder. Zara nodded, her luminescent skin flushed with exhaustion. "I should have told you sooner, but humans often fear what they don't understand." "I'm not afraid," he said softly, moving closer. "I've never felt anything like that connection." Their faces were inches apart now, and Jackson could see golden flecks dancing in her amber eyes. The universe seemed to hold its breath as he reached up to caress her cheek. Her skin was warm silk beneath his fingers. "Jackson," she whispered, leaning into his touch. Before either could think, their lips met in a kiss that sent starfire through their veins. Her arms encircled his neck as he pulled her closer, their hearts beating in perfect synchronization. The kiss deepened, passionate and tender, as if they were two souls finally finding their missing half. When they broke apart, both were trembling. "The archive," Zara said breathlessly, though her eyes never left his. "Can wait," Jackson murmured, resting his forehead against hers. "Right now, all I want is you." The ancient secrets floating outside their ship suddenly seemed far less important than the mystery of the incredible woman in his arms. The archive's interior was a cathedral of living crystal, pulsing with ancient energies that made the air itself sing with power. Jackson followed Zara through corridors filled with floating data streams that resembled glowing rivers of light. Her earlier kiss still burned on his lips, making concentration difficult. "These records span millions of years," Zara explained, her fingers dancing through the holographic displays. "But there's something specific I need to find." As she worked, Jackson studied her profile in the crystal's ethereal glow. "You're not just a cultural liaison, are you?" Zara's hands stilled. The data streams around them flickered as her emotions affected the ancient technology. "I am Zara Voss, last guardian of the Eternal Archive. My people were chosen to protect these records from those who would misuse them." "What kind of misuse?" Jackson asked, stepping closer. "This," she said, activating a central display. The image showed a weapon capable of destroying entire star systems. The Void Catalyst. If it falls into the wrong hands, billions will die. Jackson's blood ran cold. "Why are you telling me this?" Zara turned to face him, tears glistening in her amber eyes. "Because I love you, and you deserve the truth before ... Her voice broke. Without hesitation, Jackson pulled her into his arms. "Before what?" "Before you realize that loving me means becoming a target. The Shadow Consortium has been hunting my family for generations. They want this weapon, and they'll kill anyone who stands in their way." Jackson cupped her face in his hands, his thumb brushing away a luminescent tear. "Then we'll face them together." "You don't understand," Zara protested. "I'm the last of my kind. When I die, all this knowledge dies with me." "You're not going to die," Jackson said fiercely. "Not while I'm breathing." The intensity in his voice made her gasp. Their eyes locked, and the space between them crackled with desperate need. This time, when their lips met, the kiss was hungry and claiming. Jackson's hands tangled in her starlight hair as she pressed herself against him, both of them seeking solace in each other's warmth. "I've been alone for so long," Zara whispered against his neck, her breath sending shivers through him. "Not anymore," he promised, trailing kisses along her jawline. His hands explored the curves of her waist as she melted into his embrace. They sank together onto the soft crystal floor, the archive's lights dancing around them like blessing stars. In the heart of ancient knowledge, they found something even more precious, a love worth fighting the universe to protect. "Whatever comes next," Jackson murmured as he held her close. "We face it together." Above them, the weapon schematics continued to glow ominously, a reminder that their newfound happiness was about to be tested by forces darker than the void between stars. The choice of Heart's red alert sirens shattered their intimate moment as three heavily armed ships materialized outside the archive. Jackson and Zara leaped to their feet, the romantic atmosphere instantly replaced by deadly urgency. "Shadow Consortium," Zara breathed, her face pale with terror through the crystal walls. They could see boarding pods launching toward the archive. Jackson grabbed Zara's hand, pulling her toward the Horizon's docking port. "We need to get out of here." "No." Zara stopped, her grip firm. "If I run, they'll eventually find me. And next time, innocent people will die because of me." "Zara, this isn't your fault," Jackson insisted as the first explosions echoed through the archive. She touched the weapon schematic, and it dissolved into particles of light that flowed into her skin. Her body glowed brighter as the ancient knowledge merged with her consciousness. "I am the Guardian. This is my burden to bear." Armed figures in black combat suits poured into the chamber, their weapons trained on the couple. Their leader, a scarred man with cybernetic implants, smiled coldly. "Zara Voss, last daughter of an extinct race," he sneered. "You've led us quite a chase." "Let him go," Zara said, stepping protectively in front of Jackson. "Your quarrel is with me." "Actually," the leader said, "your human lover presents an interesting opportunity. Give us the void catalyst or watch him die slowly." Two soldiers seized Jackson's arms, pressing a neural disruptor to his temple. He met Zara's anguished gaze, seeing the terrible choice reflected in her eyes. "Don't do it," he said firmly. "Billions of lives are worth more than one." "Not to me," Zara replied, her voice breaking. "Nothing is worth more than you." The leader laughed harshly. "How touching." 10 seconds to decide. Jackson's mind raced. In the heat of battle, he'd learned to think like a guardian, to understand sacrifice. But looking at Zara's tear-streaked face, he realized that love sometimes required the ultimate gamble. 5 seconds, the leader continued. "I love you," Jackson told Zara, his voice strong despite the weapon at his head. Then he activated the emergency communicator hidden in his sleeve, sending a signal that would overload the archive's power core. "What are you doing?" the leader demanded. "Choosing her over everything else," Jackson said as the crystal walls began to crack with unleashed energy. Zara's eyes widened with understanding. The archive's destruction would scatter the weapon's knowledge across the galaxy, making it impossible to reconstruct. But the explosion would kill them all. "Together," she whispered, channeling the archive's power into a protective sphere around them. As the ancient repository collapsed in a spectacular cascade of light, Zara poured everything she had into saving the man she loved. Even as he had sacrificed everything to save the galaxy. In that moment of mutual sacrifice, their love transcended flesh and became something eternal, burning brighter than any star. New Horizon 6 months later. The wedding ceremony aboard the diplomatic ship New Dawn was unlike anything the galaxy had ever witnessed. Representatives from dozens of worlds gathered to celebrate the union that had become legend. The human captain who sacrificed a weapon of ultimate power for love, and the alien guardian who chose one heart over an ancient duty. Jackson stood at the altar wearing his dress uniform, nervous but radiant with joy. The ship's observation deck had been transformed into a garden of flowers from 100 worlds, their combined fragrances creating an intoxicating bouquet that seemed to sing with harmony. When the doors opened and Zara appeared, his breath caught in his throat. She wore a gown that seemed woven from starlight itself, flowing and shifting like liquid cosmos. Her skin glowed with happiness, and her amber eyes sparkled with tears of pure joy. As she walked toward him, escorted by Captain Helena Cross, who had become like a sister to her, Jackson marveled at how much had changed. The archive's destruction had scattered its knowledge safely among scholars and philosophers across the galaxy, ensuring it could never be weaponized. The Shadow Consortium had been disbanded, their leaders facing justice for countless crimes. "Do you?" Jackson Reed, the Terran minister, began. "Take Zara Voss to be your wife? To explore the stars and face the unknown together?" "I do," Jackson said, his voice thick with emotion. "In this life and whatever comes after." The alien priestess stepped forward, her melodic voice carrying ancient blessings. "Do you, Zara Voss, take Jackson Reed as your bonded mate to share your light with his darkness, your wisdom with his courage?" "I do," Zara whispered, tears of liquid starlight streaming down her cheeks. "For all time and beyond." As they exchanged rings, his of earth gold, hers of crystallized starlight from her homeworld, the assembled guests erupted in celebration. Species that had warred for centuries cheered together, united by the power of love to overcome any obstacle. Their first kiss as husband and wife was gentle and sweet, full of promise for the adventures ahead. When they broke apart, both were laughing through their tears. "So, Captain Reed," Zara said playfully, "where shall we explore first?" Jackson grinned, pulling her close as fireworks exploded outside the ship's windows, painting the cosmos in brilliant colors. "Wherever the stars call us, my love. We have the rest of eternity to discover what's out there." Hand in hand, they walked toward their new ship, the Starheart, ready to map uncharted worlds and write new legends together. Their love had saved the galaxy once. Now it would light the way to infinite tomorrows among the endless beauty of space. The end.